Hi, I'm Neil from Board Game Happy, and thank you very much for joining me today for a review of BORD from Turnabout Games. This is a two-player head-to-head battler, all about moving your armies at the right time and knowing when to use your armies to attack. It's got some of the loveliest production quality you will ever see, and you'll see that when I take you down to the table. It's been handmade, laser cut, I believe, and laser etched by Gorm himself, and oiled. The wood's all been oiled. It's absolutely beautiful. You'll see here, even the bag is sustainable and recyclable material. A lot of love and care has gone into the production of this game. This game has been given to me, this review copy has been given to me by Gorm, and I do know Gorm from the South London playtest group that I attend, but obviously all thoughts are my own. If you are interested in the game, I'll put a link in the description below for the website, Turnabout Games website, so that you can go on there and see when the game will be ready to order. So let me take you down to the table. I'll show you how the game very quickly plays, and then I'll bring you back up for my final thoughts. Okay, cheers.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you some of the components. I've also set the game up as per the instructions for the basic game, but this game is fully customizable in terms of how you play, because you've got these different islands which all come apart, and you can make them into many different shapes and wonderful orientations, and you can also place the objectives in lots of different ways as well. So just wanted to give you a rough idea as to how the game plays, show you a couple of quick turns, and then take you back up top. So what I've got here is the scoring track as well as the action point track. We also have the attacking dice, and we have the objectives. So you'll see in the base game, in summer, we have 9 action points, and the extra points are gained from having these grass areas. Whereas in winter, we have 6 action points as a base, and extra points are gained from having the strongholds. So what I'm going to show you now is very briefly what some of the armies look like and what they do. So you'll notice that, see if I can get this one, there you go, perfect. So this army likes to be near trees. If it's next to trees, regardless of whether or not it controls the trees, it gets an extra dice in battle. The same with this one in relation to grass, strongholds, and marshlands. So you'll see that. These armies here, so let me show you these ones. These ones give you an extra action point in the next round if they are next to the terrain that they want to be next to. So they're really good for placing out in the summer. In the winter, they're not going to give you any benefit because there's only 2 rounds. And finally, these armies like to give you points if they are next to these areas. You will get a point at the end of the round. So these are good both in the summer and in the winter. So that's what all the armies do. So what you do is you chuck all of these armies in the bag. That's a nice handy use of the bag. So let me just briefly zoom in a bit closer to the game, move some things out of the way. Right, let's get cracking on a game of BORD. This is a 2-player head-to-head game. Very nicely comes with 2 very, very well-written player aids, really well. To be fair, you could almost learn the game from these. The rule book's really easy to read as well, but these are great. These are really great. So as you see, if you have less than 6 armies, the first thing you do is you draw 2 and then discard 1. You then have to spend at least 1 action point. You can spend 2 if you wish to. Then, if you want to, you can land that army and either move or battle, or if you spend 2 action points, you may land, move, and battle. You may then settle, which is a great little way of scoring some points, and then you check for control. So let me show you briefly what that means for the first couple of turns. So as the light coloured player, they're going to look at these. So what we got choices here, we have a choice of both ones that generate points at the end of the round. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one here. We spend 1 action point, we will land it, it's now landed, and then we can move it. We've discarded this one, by the way. We can then move it up to 3 spaces. So if we move it 1, 2, we are now on a hillside. I'll explain what that does in a minute. Then as per the instructions, you may choose to settle. To settle, you lift one of your armies off the board and gain 1 point for each army you lift. Now, you wouldn't do that at the beginning of the game because we have no territorial control. So we will leave that for now. That's normally done more towards the end of the first round and very heavily in the second round. But what we do now is we check for control. Well, we are the only army next to these two regions, so we take control. So that's going to give us more points at the end of the round, because at the end of the round, you're going to score 1 point for each area which is face up to your colour, and you'll then get the bonus points as per the summer and winter conditions. So it's now the other players go. Now they have got the armies that give extra dice, so that's fantastic. So what they're going to do is they're going to choose this one here. They're going to land and move. Now, that's cost them 1 action point. If they spent another action point, they could attack this army here. So let me show you what would happen if that occurred. What you do is you check to see how many armies are involved in the fight. This is the region which we're fighting over, so we check all of these regions around it. We then roll 1 dice for each army that's involved, and then an extra dice if that army is on a hillside, or it gives a bonus dice, such as this one, if it's next to what it wants to be. This one wants to be next to trees, so this one will be getting an extra dice. One other way you can get an extra dice is if you're next to a stronghold that you currently control. So in this example here, this army will have 1 for the army, 1 for being on a hillside, and 1 for being next to what it wants to, trees. So that would be 3. This army here would only have 2. 1 for itself and 1 for being on the hillside, because the bonus for this army is an extra point at the end of the round. So the attacking army will take 3 dice and roll them. The attacking army has scored 20 points. It's either 0, 1 or 10. The defending army will take 2 dice and roll them. They've only scored 2. So they lose. They come off the board. They are now out of action until the next round. So we just put them in the sea for now, facing the other way. This army takes the slot, which was occupied by the previous army. Then once again, you can choose to settle, or if you don't, you can then check for majority. They have majority. They flip both of these over. So that was a bit harsh for the white player. The brown player did much, much better there. So you will keep on landing your armies, either moving or attacking, because if an army's here and you land, you don't have to move to attack them on, they're right next door. You will keep on grabbing new armies, landing them, moving them, and or attacking, settling, so taking them off the board for points, and generally trying to muck up each other's plans. It's very much a head-to-head game, this. There's a real benefit for holding back. Don't attack too soon. Don't attack too soon, because if you attack too soon, you come out of action points and you can let the other player run amok towards the end of the round. Then once the round is over, that's when both players have used all of their action points. You will then check scoring. Each player will score 1 point for each territory that's faced in their colour, and then they will score 1 point for any bonus armies or for the objective. You then go to winter, you carry on. Everyone will have 6 action points, but players will probably have more because they would have used those armies deliberately. You carry on, you then total up the scores at the end of that round. The player with the most points wins. So that's a really brief how to play. I will just say one other thing. When you move, if you're here and you want to move, this is considered one movement. Then in the sea, and that's anywhere in the sea, is considered a second movement. So you could go from here, 1, 2, all the way around to there. As an example, that would be 3 movements. So yes, that's very briefly how to play board. So I'll take you back up top, give you my final thoughts.
Okay, I hope that brief overview gave you a good feel to the game, and I'm going to now give you my review, but just split into 2 different halves. I'm going to discuss the game and how it plays and who the game's for, and I'm going to separate that from the components. And it will be fairly obvious why when I get to the components, but let me just talk about who I think this game is for. This game is for the kind of people who really like head-to-head, in-your-face gameplay, because this game is all about getting the best of your opponent. There is no solo solitaire issues going on here at all. This game is all about crowding people out, beating them up if you need to, but basically taking over area majority as well as scoring points from lots of different things. Now there is a luck element to it because obviously you do have the dice that are a big factor, but you can mitigate that by making sure you position your armies in the right places and only really going for attacks when you think, oh, do you know what? I think I've got a pretty good chance of winning here. Keep in mind you can only ever have 6 dice in an attack or defense, so that might influence your decision, shall we say. But I quite like that direct conflict. Now, not everybody does. Not everybody likes that direct in-your-face conflict. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about this game. Are you and the person you will more likely play this game with, are you going to be okay with that? Now, if you are, you're onto a real winner here because there's a lot of strategy in just a short 20 to 30 minute game, probably less than 20 minutes once you're used to all of the gameplay. Now, there's not many rules and the rules are written incredibly well. The player aids are fantastic and it just goes to show what can happen with loads and loads of playtesting of a game and of honing it and cutting away things that didn't need to be there. What's been left now, the core shell of the game, is just instant engagement and fun. So you're going to be moving around the map and you're going to be positioning yourself trying to take over as many of the areas, the scoring areas, as possible. But people or your opponent is also going to be trying to do the same. And knowing when to attack, knowing when to use those extra action points, knowing when to hold back is what the game's all about. So like I say, for me, the direct conflict, it's fun. I enjoy it. I am really happy to go head to head with someone. Some people, they're not. But what might sway them, so let me bring this over a bit, is the component quality, because this looks like unlike any other game you have in your collection. It is so beautifully cut and etched, and it looks so good on the table. I mean, I have a blue playmat, which is perfect for the sea, representing the sea, but it looks so good on the table that you're probably going to leave this out, especially if you've got friends and family coming over, and they will definitely want to give it a go. And you can get them up and running pretty quickly. Now, I would say anyone that's used to kind of the 2-player abstract games will be pretty good at this. They'll pretty much work it out quite quickly. But non-gamers, say let's non-hobby gamers, shall we say, so let's say people who've had a go of chess before, they would know what's going on with this really, really quickly, and they'd be up and running fairly quickly. And there are quite a few different strategies to try out whilst trying to beat your opponent. And if they don't work, do you know what? Set the game up again and have another go. And that brings me really nicely to the fact that this game is completely customizable. You can set up the land as you like, and there are a couple of small rules about how to do that, but it's very unintrusive. It doesn't get in your way of having fun and setting the game up. So I really, really, really enjoy that. But yeah, the components are where this game is, it just shines. It looks so good. And it feels good in the hand as well, the way it's been oiled. The final finish is really, really great. I love the bag. I love the fact that the bag is actually a component for the game as well as carrying the bag, carrying the game around. So all in all, this is a top-notch game that if you like direct conflict, if you like 2-player abstract, if you like beautiful looking games that look amazing on your table and will attract your friends and family over, then this is the game for you. So as I say, in the comments will be a link to the website so that you can look to see when this game is going to become available. I'm pretty sure it's going to be very, very soon. That's my understanding. Obviously, they're all made by hand, so I'm pretty sure Gorm will be getting a series of them ready to sell on. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I can't wait to teach more people. It's a great fun game, especially if you do like that head-to-head combat. So anyway, I've been Neil from Board Game Happy. Thank you very much for watching this review of Board. And if you would be so kind as to like and subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you have any comments, chuck them below and I will definitely get back to you. Okay, cheers.